Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
More sail, cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another crazy episode of Sailing into Oblivion. Try and make it dramatic if I can somehow. Early morning show, not too early. Just got back from a run, actually. Oy, oy, oy. A little slurp there for Slovenia. Yeah, it's kind of, that's what some of the stuff I was thinking it'd be kind of interesting to talk about is the whole idea of like fitness and kind of healthy living when you're on a boat. That might be a little bit something we delve into today, as well as a little post-op about the trip we did from Fort Pierce up to, well, I guess it's Johns Island, but just south of Charleston, South Carolina, with Chase on the Morgan. Total weapon. That was such a fun trip. Oh, my gosh. Like, we'll get into it. It was great. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think a little bit of plotting and planning. We got some passage plan stuff coming up. That's a lot of P's. Hopefully it's not popping too much on the old microphone there. But, yeah, we got to get out of here. April 15th is the deadline, not only for your taxes. Hopefully you've all filed those already. Geez, I know I dropped my checks off in the mail the other day. And, yeah, it's also a time where I got to get off this dock and get boogie on up. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's one of those where I don't really ever like having deadlines when it comes to sailing because I work with Mother Nature. Mother Nature has no deadlines, even though she does somehow seemingly keep to that lovely schedule of hurricanes from June till November, and that hasn't changed in quite some time. But, could you imagine if hurricane season was just all the time, like hurricanes just happened every once in a while? And I mean, I know supposedly some in some form they do. You get the subtropical cyclones and all that sort of stuff that happen up north, but in the wintertime, and obviously like a super strong nor'easter can meet and exceed the old hurricane force on the old wind scale. But yeah, so long story short, I got to get out of here. And I'm looking already for the best weather window that I can find. And there was a teeny little one, but it would have meant basically flying back from Charleston, hopping on the boat and doing one of those 24-hour turnarounds. And those get a bit brutal. Plus, that would put me up there way early. It's sort of like I got to find my little sweet spot. As much as I say you have to, they're like deadlines, got to do it. These are just flights. These are just bookings for dockage and stuff like that. And so, usually if you're not there on the mark, you can either push it or, you just pay a little bit of money and then you have the dock there already. I don't know. Gosh, who knows? Let's do an intro and then let's actually dive into this episode. If you want to help support this podcast, we're closing in, folks. We're getting there. 400, and we're gonna have pretty soon our 420th podcast. Whoa! So all you weed smokers out there, you're gonna have to enjoy that one. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy just to get to 400. Now we're just basically flying right past it, which has been great. But if you want to support the podcast, and so many of you do, it's awesome. I absolutely love seeing just the emails, the notes on Patreon, all that. You know, if the Patreon family, just can't say enough. That's such a huge thing. I mean, that's basically who I'm working for, really. And, you know, when you do sign up on Patreon, obviously you get all the episodes and everything. You can listen to them on their little platform ad-free. So there's no ads. Every once in a while I throw in a little board meeting show. And also, if I do, you know, if I got back to back a bunch of podcasts, I'll usually upload those early access. So there you go. That's that. And, you know, some videos and stuff like that don't really go up on YouTube. Those will go there as well. So we've also got, obviously, the links for one-time donations if you want to just, you know, help with the provisioning or dockage or anything like that. Pretty much almost all the money that comes into my pocket goes directly into Mighty Sparrow, as any boat owner knows. So any of those donations and things like that, that's super helpful. And then we've got the merch. Obviously, we've got the shirts and sweatshirts. We got the books and all that sort of stuff. We do have links in the description for the Amazon wish list that has a few items that hopefully one day I will procure. But you can procure them for me, which is always pretty cool. And then obviously Total Boat, they got their little 5% discount rate. Their Total Boat stuff's pretty cool. I've been using it a lot. And if you click on that link, you get a little bit of a discount. And I get a little bit of a percentage of that because I'm one of their little affiliates. Wow, pretty neat. Yeah, and then sailingintooblivion.com. We're going to be doing a bunch of presentations and not presentations, shows. We're going to be doing a bunch of shows up in the Cape Cod, Massachusetts area this summer, kicking things off on Nantucket at the Whaling Museum. I believe that one is. Let's actually smash some dates. That's probably a smart move. Nantucket Whaling Museum. We're going to be doing the 30th of July. Open to the public. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking a lot about the whale ship Essex on that one because that's a horrible story. Oh, my gosh. And then for those who can't make that one, we're going to be in New Bedford at the Whaling Museum on the 6th of August. It's going to be super, super fun. And then there probably will be a couple other public events that come up. A few little fundraisers we're going to be doing for some of the local sailing clubs. So look out for those. But I'll keep everybody in the loop as far as those dates come up. But yeah, check out the website, sailingintooblivion.com, if you want to reach out to me for any reason, whether it's coaching, possible speaking event, or you just want to reach out and tell me a story. I don't know. Whatever you want. Have a question? Hit me up. There we go. All right. There's the intro. That was kind of an in-depth one. I try. Sometimes I'm in the mood to just coast right through it. Sometimes I don't even do it. And sometimes I'm like, well, let's do a quality one. Let's think it out. I got my notes here. I do not have any notes here. Shout out to Jeff up there on Cape Cod. Just wanted to say hi. Can't wait to see you this summer. And yeah, no notes. He always told me, he was like, I don't understand how you just sit there in the mic and an hour goes by. You're just talking to yourself. Well, welcome to the mind of a solo sailor, sir. Whoa. Happy Easter, everybody. I was out for this run this morning. I kept seeing all this Easter signs. Saw a few people hiding eggs. Reminds me of being at Bitter End back in the day. Oh my goodness gracious. The Puerto Rican Navy would come over on all their giant fishing boats and flood Virgin Gorda. It was so much fun. The partying, the just exuberance and excitement and enthusiasm. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely a blast. But every Easter Sunday was the super duper crazy early morning, going down to the pool and hiding about 5 million eggs with the rest of my kids' camp staff. That was always a blast. And man, all that candy. Whoa, that's a lot of sugar, man. Wow. If only I knew then what I know now about that terrible, terrible substance. But yeah, so happy Easter, everybody. It's kind of a fun time, good family time. Definitely any of these sort of family events and things like that where people get together, I think is always an awesome thing. Get to know your community. It's no need to be lonely out there. Let your old pal J Rome do that for you. Oh, jeez. So anyway, yeah, just got back from a run. First run since the last sail, the solo sail, the 6-dayer out there. So that's coming on like 2 weeks or 10, almost 2 weeks without really doing much exercise at all. Ooh, yeah, not good. Not good. When I'm in my normal state of affairs, typically like to either walk or run pretty much every single day, and then try and throw a little fitness in there if you can. Mostly just, I don't know, push-ups and sit-ups and things like that, pull-ups if I can find a place. But it begs the question, what do you do when you're out there on the water? And, the short answer is nothing. I don't do anything out there. I eat a lot. On this last voyage, the Chase, the owner of the boat, he's basically owns restaurants, and he's a chef. I could tell because he cooked a whole bunch of good stuff. And when I looked into the refrigerator, it's full of like uncured meats and like good cheeses and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, whoa, fancy. I love it. Oh man, we had these tins of fish and all. Oh my gosh, it was glorious. It's a way different than when you look in mine, which is just those staples of like stuff to make sandwiches, bacon, eggs, mayo, mustard, White Claws, Bush Lights, that sort of thing. No, I don't know. It is kind of weird. Like I have the things you would need on the boat to be able to sort of do exercise, and you're out on the water, right? By yourself, 24 hours a day. There's not a whole lot else to do. And the motion of the boat is actually advantageous to exercising because it throws you off your balance. And so you have to actually work extra hard to do those push-ups. But often and almost always, I find myself theorizing before I go that I'm going to actually do something. And I'm going to really put in the routine every day, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is when I get out there, it's like the last thing I want to do. I want to lay around. I want to read books. I want to eat and cook and drink coffee and, have my sundowner. And then that's it. I don't want to go to bed. And that's what I do. And it's terrible. Because again, it's one of those things where if you just shave off, this is my thinking at least, you just shave off 30 minutes, 30 minutes start to finish does not take very long. You can just do some, I don't know. I mean, in the cockpit, you could obviously do like push-ups and you can do leg lifts and you can do dips and things like that, which is great. Standing in the companionway, you could do little, calf raises and stuff like that. You could try and do squats depending on, how rough the sea is. The only thing you really can't do on a boat is run. And I suppose you could run in place, but that's ridiculous. Who wants to do that? And you can plank. All day long you could plank, and the planks would be really hard. Planking, just because, the boat's moving and you're trying to hold that position. So I don't know. It's one of those where there have been a few times in my younger years, way back in the past, where obviously, like when I was on the boat down in the Virgin Islands, training for the voyage and then writing the book about the voyage the year after that, obviously I'm living on the boat mostly at anchor, and so I have to do something. And a lot of times I would just zip into the nearest beach and do some running on the beach. But on the boat, when you're at anchor, it's a lot easier. Obviously, you can go up to the bow of the boat. You can do all sorts of calisthenics and things like that, and it's no big deal. I don't know, though. When you're underway, I think there is a small portion of exercise going on just because you're on this moving boat and you're kind of always having to grip and grab things. I mean, if you ever have been to any of the shows, you would see these pictures, this series of pictures I have of me in a pair of boxer shorts after the Falkland Islands food drop. And I am emaciated, obviously, because I was starving for 3 months, but there's like cut muscle and all this sort of stuff because you are you're wrestling with the sails. Now, I had, essentially crossed the entire Pacific Ocean down, in the roaring 40s. So there's a little bit more work to do with the boat than maybe normal sailing. So I guess you can't attribute that 100% to sailing as exercise, if you will. But it's it's just one of those things where just the motion and the gripping and the grabbing and the always counterbalancing is, I'm sure you're burning some calories off doing that. But compared to actually taking 20, 30 minutes every day to do, a few sets of this, a few sets of that, well, yeah, and I think I have some of those armband things. They're not armbands, but like they're bands where you step on the middle of it and it's got two handles, so you can do like little curls or something like that. I had them on the boat for years. I've used them again. I used them when I was at the dock and stuff like that back in the day. But they haven't been out of the cupboard in I don't know how many, like a year probably. It's crazy. Ooh, hot coffee. Jeez, man, when you get a like too big of a mouthful, man, that's brutal. And I like my coffee hot. I get it. I've been trying desperately to get it just to a boil, but not quite boiling. That jet boil it's so hyper efficient that I think I've never timed it, but I would guess it's about 90 seconds to get 16 or 20 ounces of water boiling. It's just so fast. I love it. Compared to the pour overs that we were having on the old Coconut Joe, that was the name of the boat. Pretty funny name. I'm sure it's going to change, but pour overs, tough. They're involved. They take time, and they're worth it. I'll tell you. I mean, well, okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I don't know if they're worth it. They were really good. I can say that. Chase, I can tell you right now, those pour-overs were delicious, and I appreciate you sharing the knowledge and the in-depth knowledge at that of this whole world of coffee I had no idea about. But I think we just kind of jumped over without any sort of transition at all. You see how that happens, folks? It's crazy. Let's wrap the fitness thing up here real quick, though. One of the interesting things, I think, at least, about the whole fitness thing is that there's this rebuild that happens to me all the freaking time when it comes to these things. Like, for instance, back in November, I leave Cape Cod. I'm not back down here until like 17 days later. Wasn't really doing too much exercise up there in Cape Cod. I was up in Maine before that. So long story short, a good like month sometimes goes by where I'm sailing, I'm moving the boat, it's cold out, blah, blah, blah. I got a million excuses why I'm not doing any sort of exercise. And then finally, like one day, I just, once I get somewhere, I wake up. And I did that this morning. I got up and it's still dark out, but I was like, I don't know. It's just like a switch flips. And it's the easiest decision to make, where I'm kind of like, I could just lay here. Or I can go for a run. Let's go for a run. And we just, grab the shoes, grab the headphones, plug them in, and, Bob's your uncle. 2 minutes later, I'm out the door, and I'm running again. I'm going to pay for it. I'm not going to lie. I only ran probably 2 miles maybe, but I can guarantee you one thing. I'm going to be so sore tomorrow because it's been 2 weeks since I did that, and it's part of the rebuild. It's like the easiest decision in the world to do something, like Shia LaBeouf. Do something. If you've ever seen that video. It's one of those things where you just do it. But I don't know. Sometimes in my life, it's just this switch that just flips. And I don't really know what it is. Don't really know. I've never quite pinpointed it. Back in the day, yeah, obviously there were super big motivations, i.e. the ladies, to stay in as good a shape as possible. Also, my job, I was on the beach. Most times you didn't have a shirt on or anything. You want to look good, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And vanity of youth. It's kind of nice. Part about getting old is just not really caring too much about all that. And it's almost as if a little bit of a weight gets lifted off your shoulders. You can just walk around and not even worry about it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where nowadays it's more just health. I'm just trying to extend the life of this old body. Although it's old and rickety. Oh God. Oh, those are the noises. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just one of those things where I always try and do something, but usually when I'm out there in the ocean, I don't do anything, and then I pay the price when I get back in, and finally kick back into gear. But I will say this: glimmer of hope. Here's the little bird flying in the sky. Essentially, this next trip, when I go up north, maybe that'll change. Maybe for the first time in a long time, I will actually stick to a fitness routine and not have this ebb and flood, this up and down of sort of healthy living, because the boat allows me the ability to be like, nah, I don't think so. So we'll see. And that's the beauty. I think that's the beauty of all sort of exercise. And, I guess if you wanted to include diet in there, like eating healthy and all that sort of stuff. The beauty of it all is that, if you've fallen off a cliff, if you've done all these bad things and you've been lazy, you've gained weight, whatever it is, and you don't want that to be the reality that you're living in, well, then it's an easy decision. You just get up and you start changing it, and you do a little something, a little exercise, you eat a little bit better, and you can start that at any time. I think, obviously the key is just keep doing it. Just don't start one day and then stop the next and then start the next day, because that's just a vicious cycle. That is a cycle that we do not want to drop into. So we want to keep that one going. All right. So that's my rant and rave on the old health thing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to be sore. Oof. And, I think side note, part of the reason I got up this morning and did it is that essentially when we were coming in, I think it was just on one of the little lift rides back and forth to the other boat when we were trying to get her ready. We turned the corner over by the Fort Pierce Yacht Club, and there's a public little fitness square thing that I'd never seen before, probably because the only reason I saw it was there was a person utilizing it. I think the rest of the time it just blended in, but it's all like just body weight exercise machines. Kind of interesting, actually, where you stand on the machine and then it's your weight. So it's the very typical sort of fitness stuff you would find in a gym, but it's designed so that your weight is what you're picking up instead of actual free weight. So I don't know. It was kind of cool. And I saw that and I was like, oh man, you know what?
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Back. I think I'm going to start doing the runs, and I'm going to, pull into that old little fitness station there and make use of this free little area and get the old blood pumping. So I don't know. Maybe that was just a motivator. Maybe I remembered that this morning. So who knows? Who knows at all? On to the voyage. The splendid, wonderful voyage that we had. So unexpected. I guess backstory, when I was out there on ye old ocean doing my little solo trip around the Bahamas, I essentially got an email because I have Starlink. Thank you, Joseph. Really do appreciate it. It's going to be hard to send that one back. But we might be getting our own one. I don't know. We'll have to see about that. It was kind of neat, kind of nice to have that. And I don't know. The debate rages on in my head between the Iridium Go and the Starlink. Obviously, I'd like to have both, the backup idea. But I think that would be more for a bigger voyage, maybe the Atlantic Figure 8, if that ever does happen, if I'm able to get out there and do that, if I find the burning passion to spend 4 or 5 months alone at sea yet again. Neither here nor there. That's my new phrase. I don't know if you've caught that. Neither here nor there. It's also the title of a great Bill Bryson book about his trompings through Europe as a young man. So anyway, I'm just going off into the weeds. I hope there's not any ticks out here. Yikes. But yeah, so I'm out there and I receive an email, and it's a guy who is looking for help to get his boat from Fort Pierce up to basically the Charlston area. And he had set sail with a guy that he had hired on to do it. And it just didn't work out. They had some engine trouble, and they had a little bit of leakage around the rudder post and stuff like that. So they ended up having to turn back. That was probably a really good thing, because when I read that, and knowing what day that was that they took off, because I was also watching this really ugly weather pattern come. The reason that I came back in, that gale that came in, and I was thinking to myself, geez Louise, those guys probably would have gotten hit by that. And, that would have been brutal, absolutely brutal. First sail, inaugural voyage for the captain, for Chase. And so, it was one of those where I was like, scratching my head like, geez Louise, you guys were just about to take off. Anyway, and because the time frames didn't work out, the other guy couldn't do it, and he was, he's like, I don't know if you do deliveries or anything like that, but I could use some help getting the boat up there. And I, at first glance, I was like, no, I don't do deliveries anymore. I used to, and I would do them obviously any of my clients that I have now that I have done coaching and consulting with and stuff with their boats. Oh man, these are the greatest people ever. So obviously if I ever got invited to do a trip, if they needed a crew member and all that sort of stuff, I'm more than happy to do that. But the idea of like being a delivery skipper or something like that, no, it's not. I did that in my younger years. It was a blast, and that's where I leave it. So now it's almost 100% just coaching and that sort of thing. So getting people sorted on their boats is so much more fulfilling than just taking somebody else's boat from point A to point B. But anywho, so I kind of in my head was just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But I did, just because, it's been a slow spring as far as work goes and everything. I'm not going to turn anything down because, hey, you got to make that money. But so I just hit him up and said, hey, yeah, I'm going to be back on land in just a couple of days before this gale comes in, and we'll see if we can make something work. And boy, oh boy, am I glad that I did that, because we had an absolute blast. I got in, parked my boat, did my thing that first day, and then the second day I was here. Excuse me. See, that's the old pre-run Jerome trying to peel off and evacuate out of my body. Ugh. Anyway, I should edit that out, but I'm not gonna. I head over just to go meet and greet because obviously I'm never going to agree to hop on a stranger's boat without meeting the person and without sort of inspecting and taking a look around the vessel as well. You know, one, I don't want to get murdered. Two, I don't want to, hop out onto the ocean only to find that the boat basically is going to sink and fall apart underneath our feet. That would not be a good thing. So those are my prerequisites. Is definitely a meetup. I have, in fact, I think in the past only really done. I think it was just Justin out there in San Diego who we chatted, and I don't know, the vibes were just so good. Like I was like, dude, he's just super cool. We're good here. And that one, yes, I flew across and I never met him, but we had chatted enough times and all that sort of stuff. And shout out to Justin out there. They started I think they started like a beach bar, coffee bar, restaurant or something. I'm gonna have to check in with him again. Hopefully he gets a little Instagram page up or something like that on that, because I'd love to give that a shout out. But shout out to you, Justin. So we go and I go over and meet him, and I'm all like disheveled. I've been out at sea for a week, and I'm still kind of wobbly and everything. But it's no skin off my back. I'm just gonna go meet the guy and all that sort of stuff, and just super cool. And I show up, and he's wearing a boot, and he'd just gotten back from the hospital because he stepped working on the rudder post. The hatch was open for that. He steps over from the sugar scoop into the cockpit, and he just steps right down, and his foot just gets sliced. Oh, brutal. And so they couldn't do any stitches because where it was, but ugly. It was rough, big laceration. So he's wearing a boot and everything, but we check out the boat. It's a Morgan 382, so basically a 38-foot Morgan. I can't remember what year it was from. We were going to do a podcast, but I didn't have a ton of room for all the mics and everything, and it's kind of like my rule. I like to, if I'm showing up for a boat trip, I like to show up with one bag and one bag alone. And because we were going to be sailing the Gulf Stream, I had to bring all my wet weather gear, all that sort of stuff, and just to be on the safe side. But regardless, we just basically chit-chat and kind of get to know each other. And he definitely seems like a very, very cool dude, family guy. He's got kids, all that sort of stuff. And, definitely felt fairly confident that he and I would get together or get along really, really well. We're laughing, we're joking, we're having fun. He had read my book, so that's always kind of a plus one there. But taking a look around in the boat and everything, and it's nothing where I'm not like surveying the boat, like I'm not walking around with a hammer or anything, but I'm just kind of looking for any sort of red flags, any things that are kind of like fishy or suspect. If the boat's, you rock up to the boat, if the boat's just absolutely just a pile of filth and there's stuff everywhere and tools and wires hanging out, and it's not, it seems like somebody's been doing something that they didn't really know what they were doing, kind of thing. That's a red flag. If you see just filth, dirt, boat hasn't been cleaned or touched in years, that's a red flag. I look at bulkheads, I look at through hulls, I look at the engine room, and I'm looking in the bilge. I want to make sure the basic systems are there, the engine works. Excuse me, the bilge pumps work. We've got some of the safety gear. And take a quick look at the sails, look at the rigging, all that sort of stuff. Those are kind of the big ones. And then also what type of autopilot they have, and all that sort of stuff to make sure that, it's not going to be one of those where we get out there and because it's just some crummy little auto helm that's not going to work outside of like the perfect conditions. Well, that means we're going to hand steer, and on a double-handed sail, 2 people, 1 boat, and 1 auto helm that doesn't work anymore. That's rough. Like, hand steering for hours on end it's exhausting. And I don't know, maybe I've been spoiled by the old Mongo. I don't know, but I don't like it. I like the option of being able to helm whenever I want. And I actually helmed for an hour or two here or there on this trip because that boat, the Morgan, was nice. I mean, she cut through that water and just doing like 7, 8 knots. We were doing 10, 11 knots when we got out into the Gulf Stream. It was great. But essentially, after 15, 20 minutes, we're chatting. The boat looks great. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Partly also because the forecast looked just about perfect. We were going to have easterly winds. It was going to be a little bit bouncy when we first got out there. I knew that because the remnants of that gale were still there. But the winds were going to be blowing basically 15 knots and then finally dying as we got up there coming out of the south. But for a rip up to Charleston, which was basically 300 miles, it was going to be an easy 2-day adventure. We left late in the day. And here's my when I'm peeling through the weather and I'm trying to come up with an ETA, basically down here with these inlets, I'm trying desperately to leave at the right time as far as the current against the wind, and then arrive at the right time. And so we took off, and it was pretty bouncy getting out of here, but that was the thinking was that that would get us up into the next little inlet, which was not, we weren't pulling into Charleston proper, which is a huge, there's jetties and like it's giant. And that one's pretty easy to get into in all sorts of weather conditions. This was a little inlet further south. It has, it's like 8 feet deep or whatever. It has shoaling. Those can be super sketchy if the weather's not perfect for it. And so that was a concern. And I was lining it up to try and get there in the afternoon on, the third day or whatever it was. And essentially, yeah, we kind of nailed it. I was like, dude, we should be able to get up there around 3 p.m. on Thursday. We were going to leave on Tuesday. And, we got in there at like 3:20 in the afternoon. I couldn't believe it. We did have to motor and all that sort of stuff. But regardless, for a trip like that, with the favorable forecast, it was essentially get out to the Gulf Stream, grab hold of those extra couple of knots of boat speed, and just burn north. And man, oh man, was it nice. Full sail. We had a couple of wraps on the old jib, and this is a very modern sort of boat. Obviously furling head sail, a big old 150%er, which is great. Nice big mainsail. Very, very basic as far as the setup. There wasn't a lot of fancy stuff going on the boat, which I really like. Super easy, basic, and functional. Because I don't know, you get all these other little trappings on the boat, and sometimes those turn into a nightmare. This is jib sheet, main sheet, super duper easy, and it was good. It was really good for kind of Chase's first experience offshore. And, it wasn't overly complicated to look at the boat and explain certain aspects of it. Because this wasn't, it was like quasi-coaching, but it wasn't like sail training. We didn't put a reef in. We didn't have to. We didn't have to furl the jib in for squalls or anything like that. So, when you're on passage, you're trying to basically get from point A to point B as quickly as possible and safely as possible. And there's not, it's not a lot of time to go and be like, well, let's do some tacks and let's throw some jibes in and stuff like that. That's a different sort of coaching. That's something you do when you're doing like day sails and things like that, which we may end up doing. I don't know. I have a feeling he's just going to get out there and practice himself, but who knows? Hopefully Chase and I reunite once more to grind out some more, I don't know, just seamanship skills, reefing, heaving to, all that sort of stuff, just to make sure that he's got a solid base to grow from. But I did, however, get a quick video from him. His kids and his family and stuff were out there to meet him once we got back. And yeah, dude, it was great. They were out sailing on the boat, and I'm like super stoked. And I texted back, I was like, well, I don't see any kids puking or being lashed to the mast, so I think you're doing A-okay. So that's awesome. It's really, really great, because again, this is his first sailboat outside of, and I'll tell you what, he had the greatest line. When I first talked to him on the phone, I was like, so, I guess, what sort of sailing experience do you have? And he said, well, when I was a kid at Camp Seagull, I used to sail on a laser. And that was it. And I was like, whoa, all right, we're starting from ground zero. But he had, a previous boat, which was like a Grady White, like a power boat. So, even though it's a power boat, it still equates a little bit to at least the feel of the water and all that sort of stuff. It's just the sails we had to work on. But like I said, it was an absolute blast. The moon was so gorgeous out there. And it was kind of funny because towards the end, as we're approaching land again, I was like, dude, I almost feel like I need to, march you up to the bow and grab a bucket and just start like splashing you with salt water because I don't want you spoiled out here. Like it was one of those passages where the winds were great, the seas weren't bad, the moon was out. The one day where there were like 5 or 6 squalls, we just blindly sort of peeled right through all of them. I think I was the only one who felt any raindrops, and it was only for a couple of minutes. And yeah, it's a sort of trip you just kind of dream of. All these things were coming together to make it a very, very comfortable, very nice, easygoing sailing trip. And it's just not always like that. It truly isn't, and it can actually. A trip like that can actually bite you in the keister, believe it or not, because it can give you a false sense of confidence, and it can give you a false sense of what the ocean world is actually like. And the next time you look at the forecast, you're like, oh, it's 20 knots. Okay, well, that's not much more than what we had. Oh, well, yeah, the power of wind is exponential, my friend, as it goes up. It doesn't... 20 knots is not twice as strong as 10 knots. It's a heck of a lot more. But either way, super stoked. Got a new, if anything, got a new friend out of it because Chase, you are the man. That was an absolute hoot. I had so much fun. If you want to see any of our little voyage, you can go on the Instagram page. I did two little quick little minute-long reels or whatever. Just a little Mod Podge of our trip, our voyage. But yeah, it was super fun, and I'm stoked that I was able to hook into that one. And yeah, hopefully we cross paths again and get to do a little bit more sailing and all that. So good luck, and thank you for the opportunity. It was freaking awesome, dude. I totally loved it and laughed. We just laughed, man. We definitely got along very, very well. So I'm lucky. I'm super lucky. When I think about the list of people who essentially I would call clients, I guess, but I call them friends. Really, they're really great people. From Joseph to Scott and Jess to Mark and Steph to Chase now, and all the people in the future. Laz, there's quite a few. Justin. Man, they're just Oliver, obviously. Yeah, I mean, we got a whole lot of stuff going on, and it's great. It really is something special to be able to be part of people's sailing adventures, and they're the sort of chasing after the dream. That's the beauty of it. It's very like-minded. I suppose it's not a coincidence that I sort of encounter quite a few people that sort of have shared ideals as far as how they want to live their life and the things they want to do in it. And it's because, if you're a sailor, if you're willing to go toss a whole heap of money into a boat, sail off over the horizon, you got these dreams. We all got these dreams. And some of them seem to be very similar. And yeah, it's because, I don't know, sailors are a bunch of kooks. That's why. We're a bunch of crazy nut jobs. All right. Okay, time to get into what we're going to do now. All right. The game plan, folks, everybody, here we go. For the Old Mighty Sparrow coming up in the future, we got to get this boat up to Cape Fear. It's about 400 miles to the northeast, and it's another Gulf Stream run, hopefully, because if you can do that, if you can hook into the Gulf Stream, we can do it in like 2.5 days, like we did last year. But, therein lies the rub. The Gulf Stream is a tempestuous beast sometimes. She can be sassy. She can grant you the extra 2 knots that you're looking for, but she can also take that away rather abruptly and turn your life into a hellscape of squalls and choppy seas, and it's no fun at all. Or you just have to stay out of it, and then it's like a 3 to 4 day sail if you're staying inside the stream. The other option would be to cut across the stream, go north, and then cut across the stream again. And I don't know, that definitely adds some miles. Then it's like a 500-mile trip. So ideally, we're just going to be able to do this in one shot. We do have to call Mr. Colin Denker, a.k.a. Well, no, that's his name. So I don't know why I did that. But essentially, because we're trying to meet up with him at some point, and unfortunately, so today is Sunday. It's going to start blowing another gale down here by Tuesday. We're going to see winds up into north of the Bahamas. Northeast of the Bahamas, they're going to see winds up into like 38 and probably gusting well into the 40s. Yeah. Oof. Jeez Louise. That's going to blow. So that's going to blow up the ocean a bit for sure. So Wednesday is no good. And Thursday, it's still blowing pretty hard out of the northeast. That's the 9th. Friday, it tapers back down below 20 knots, but it's still blowing out of the northeast. Saturday, starts to come more out of the east. Sunday, the 12th, it's dead out of the east. Monday, the 13th, it starts to finally calm down. So that is kind of, I guess, the area we're looking at to actually make the hop up. I may end up just driving up to go and see Colin if he is so inclined, wants a hand, because he's got to go haul the boat out and everything. Still doing a few projects on it. But, I mean, it would be just so nice to get that boat and grab it and just go sail in Port Royal Sound for a day just so he can have a shakedown cruise sort of thing. So we may end up doing that while we're waiting out this adverse weather. Just go and grab a rental car or something. But we'll see. I don't know. The forecast can change at a moment's notice. You never, ever know. Can't count on it. But it is kind of looking lightish, but there does seem to be about a 3-day window. Starting kind of like the 12th, 13th, 14th. And the problem is these things, it's so far out on the forecast. I can't really do anything more than say, well, maybe that looks like a good one. The trick for me at this point is that I don't want to stay on the dock after the 15th because I don't want to pay any extra money to stay down here. And 2, I have a flight that I have to catch to get back to Michigan and do some work up there starting on the 22nd. Now, like I said in the beginning, I can probably push that back. I always get the travel insurance so I can, shift the flight if need be. So that's not like a huge issue, but obviously, I would like to stick to the schedule if I can. And really got to tell you, getting up there for morel season in northern Michigan is one of my favorite things to do. I love looking for morels. They're so tricky, those little mushrooms. But it's also beautiful just to see the forest come out. The leeks smell like onions. They cover the forest floor. Then the trilliums come out. The trilliums are almost already probably starting. Well, no, they've had a long, cold winter, I should say. They probably still have snow up there. What am I talking about? Anyway, so yeah, it does. It kind of looks like that's what we're going to be leaning towards. There's a big calm patch, but I don't think I'll run into that. And yeah, so I don't know. We're just waiting on the weather window, and we're going to try and utilize our time as best as possible. We did the full engine room cleanup and all that sort of stuff the other day. I've just been working on little projects. I did pull apart Mongo, at least the top part, pulled all the little roller bearing things out, and hopefully that will help. I've got to tape everything back up and secure everything, but I think today I'm going to drop the actual rudder into the water and see about the alignment. I kind of have a feeling that Mongo was misaligned a little bit, which may have added to the issue. I don't know. I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting... I'm pretty sure all the parts are up there in Michigan now. For the complete rebuild of all the bushings and everything like that. I'm definitely going to need that for the trip from Cape Fear up to Cape Cod later in July, because that one typically will produce some adverse weather that we got to get through, and I got to make sure I can count on Mongo to push me through that. But yeah, so right now it's just kind of doing the fine tuning, make sure everything is good, and then just keep an eye on that weather. We're gonna hopefully get James Hodge out here on the boat. If things work out and the schedules align and all that sort of stuff, that would be cool. If I end up doing the thing solo, then that's cool as well. But we'll just sort of see how that one goes. And I don't know. We're just going to kind of keep plugging away and, like I said, try and utilize this downtime on the dock to be able to, peel through everything. And I did sand down the turtle box yesterday, the one that I kind of rebuilt really haphazardly because I didn't have the materials I really wanted. But it was, it was a bit of an eyesore. I did not like the look of it. It just, it was like, ew. And so I just, took an hour or two and sanded everything and then oiled it up, and now it looks freaking fantastic, and I'm proud of it. Even though I'm going to, as soon as I get up Cape Cod, we're going to pull that whole thing apart and hopefully get the right kind of wood to make sure that it's super solid. I want to make that thing look like it's brand spanking new. That's my game plan. There's going to be a bit of varnish work going on up there on the Cape this year, and I'm looking forward to doing that with the help of... hopefully, or just the wisdom of Ned Crosby at Crosby Boatworks. He's an absolute weapon. Hopefully we'll get him on the show as well. But, very, very cool. Very cool stuff. And, all systems a go at this point. We are still fully functioning and, kind of looking for anything and everything that I can fine-tune. I want to. And, other than that. But also just kind of enjoy things. So... now that I'm just blathering on and barely even saying anything that makes much sense, I think we're going to end the show there. I think that's probably a good idea. And I can jump into my day. But, folks, everybody out there, hopefully you, again, have a happy Easter weekend. Enjoy the spring. The boats are going to be coming. If you're up in the north, the boats are going to be coming out of their hibernated state sooner rather than later. Get ready. We've got the summer around the corner. Sailing will be had, and I am very, very much looking forward to all sorts of sailing on the East Coast, in the Great Lakes, out in the Pacific Northwest. This is going to be a fantastic, busy summer, and I am super stoked. Can't wait to keep going and getting out there and providing a whole bunch more podcasts and shows and all that sort of stuff as well. So thank you all so very much for listening, and until next time.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.